I know. Hi, everybody. I'm Amy.
I'm Audrey.
And this is the Right Crowd. So grab a cup of coffee,
Or a cup of tea.
maybe something on the rocks. Let's get started. All right. Oh, there's your cup of tea. All right. So
I was trying to throw you off. Let's see if she notices
it
that.
takes more than that, Audrea. All right. What are we talking about this week?
All right. So this week we are talking about goals, setting goals, writing goals, life goals, goals for the year. And we read again for us, we read Atomic Habits again this year. And for the first time, we read Tiny Habits. And habits are what help you make goals, as we talked about in previous episodes. So now we're ready to make goals for the year. So take us away, Amy.
Yay. Okay. So the other thing I want to mention is later in the year, probably 5 to 6 months. So like towards the middle of the year, we will also be reading The Power of Habit and trying to wrap all three of those books together and how it all works together. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll start this with what our goals are for the year individually.
Okay.
And maybe how we came up with those goals. Maybe not talk about all of them because some of them are personal. This is not necessarily a personal video.
For you guys.
Yeah, that would, yeah. My life is lame. I don't know how Audrey feels about hers, but we're gonna stick with, oh yeah, you're all fun and games, and you have a disco light in your office, don't you?
Actually.
Yeah. See, you and I are not the same. I have yarn and curious shorts. Okay. So what I did this year to come up with my goals is I kind of mind mapped it a little. And the way that I work, and the way that, I mean, honestly, it's a good way to set goals, is you look at the big picture and then you bring it down. So I started with, I think I started with a 5-year goal. And then I broke it down to, well, if I'm going to do this in 5 years, then where do I want to be in? So here's my 5 years and my 3 years, right? But then I broke it down to, all right, in order to reach that in 3 years, what do I need to be in a year? So then I have my list of all my things for 2024. Yay. And they're color coded. Because for me, when I look at the page, if I'm looking for a specific goal, say for the Right Crowd, I'm looking for the color. I don't want to have to read through 10, 15, 20 things to find the one thing I'm looking for, because that's just a waste of time. So everything for me is color coded. So then I have my goals for the year, and then I break them down. I went on heart breathings. Sarah Cannon does her these pages that she makes where each page is a quarter. So I went through and wrote down, in order to be able to reach my 2024 goals, what do I need to do this month, next month, 7 months from now? And I wrote it all out on this calendar thing. Now, my original plan was to take all of those and fill in the month. I don't work that way. For me, it's easier to be like, this month, this is what I'm going to do, not this week. Now, when I get to my week, I break it down, which is what Audrey and I do every week. We have accountability call. We go over what we accomplished that week, what we didn't accomplish, why we didn't accomplish it, and what we're doing next week. And now we're adding in lessons learned.
Yes.
So,
then
what I did, do what, huh?
We're adding it back in.
Yes. We did have it in before. We called it ahas.
But when we changed our planners, it wasn't no longer listed on there. So we stopped doing it.
But then we forgot. Yeah. So then what I did is, if y'all watched our planner video where we talked about the planners we used last year, and the planners we're going to use this year, you will have seen the Poquito Project Planner. Super excited about this planner. I was so ready to use it. And then Audrea had to bring up her planner that I was like, I think that's going to be better. So what I did is I took the two planners out with my list of all the things that I needed to get done. And I looked at them along with my daily planner that I use that keeps me in line for every day what I need to get done. And to find out what was going to work best with that planner so that I didn't have 5 different places I had to look, and where it's something that encompassed all of it, which ended up being, of course, Audrea's planner, which is why it is now also my planner. So back to this one. I didn't get rid of it. I still love it. I might use it next year. I might use it, as Audrea is going to use it, as a project, an actual project planner for my books. I'm not there yet. So it's just sitting aside, waiting its turn. It's just waiting its turn. So what I did is I went and took all of the broken down goals, and then I transferred them into here. So the cool thing about this one is that it breaks it down into projects and goals, and you get 8 different goal setting. They give you a big picture, and then they have you break it down into quarters. Now, previous years, I have always done the Kanban boards. And what I've done is I've planned out the whole year, all the things. And then Kanban board is done by the quarter. So then I would take all the things for the first quarter and I'd write them out, but I'd have the whole year planned. And this year, maybe I'm growing wise with age. I don't know. This year, what I decided is that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. To have a whole year planned out, because if you're like me, as soon as you don't reach the one thing and it messes up the rest of the year, you're like, well, screw it. I'm done. I'll figure out something else to do. And then I avoid it. So in order to avoid avoidance this year, I am choosing to only break down my goals by the quarter. So there are some things that I realize I know I want them a specific place because of the time of year, and I don't want to forget them. So there are some months that maybe I have 3 or 4 goals here in Q1, and then maybe I've got one over here in Q4 because I know in the 4th quarter it has to happen that time. Like the writing retreat that we do at the end of every year happens in the 4th quarter. So that's going to already go there. I know that. But to break down my actual goals, I'm only doing them by the quarter this year. So I'm using this. I've broken down into the quarters, and then this lets me go back, and all of those, they have one place for all the goals, for all the quarters, and for each quarter. See the tabbies? Each quarter has its own thing. So I have all my Q1 written in, and then you have space in this to write more detailed information. I haven't used this space yet. Audrey probably has, but I haven't.
I have not. I suffer from when a planner is really pretty, I don't want to mess it up with my awful handwriting. So I have to write it in so many different places first. Like I first wrote my 2024 goals here in the back of this planner as 2023 was winding down. The previous year was winding down. So I started brainstorming or brain dumping my goals for the next year, and I wrote them here.
This was from the back of Clever Fox.
Yeah. And then I wrote them again here, tried to break them out more. And then I transferred them to another sheet somewhere to a grid paper. And I was doing a mind map like you did. And then I found a really pretty template to do that in. And then I had, here's the latest iteration. So it was this list. And I'm going to show you all of my goals, but this little piece of paper, as I narrowed them all down to be, I'm going to say that 7 goals across my entire life for the year. But as we'll talk about in this episode, as we'll take one of them and break it down a little bit further and make it into a SMART goal. I took all of those and then I finally started transferring them in here. And then my handwriting is atrocious, but I have, for example, this one with the spaces and something in the fourth quarter over there. And then the list of the things down there. So we'll break all this down and go forward with it. So that's what I've got in mind so far. I am writing in it. It's not with erasable pens, different color ink, real pens. I'm writing in it this year. It is so pretty, but it is practical.
I'm really liking it. Yeah.
It's got spaces broken out for everything. Go on.
The other thing I like about that planner is that each week it has a space for your goals. Then it also has a space for the things that you weren't able to accomplish the week before. You can like move it over. They're called outstanding action points. I like that because I never finish all the things I have written for the week before. So anyway, so that's how, whoops, sorry.
No, I was just thinking when we do our accountability, I always do it in my weekly work planner. Oops. My weekly work planner, this one. And you guys, we showed all of these in the previous planner video episode. So go back and look at that. And it has links to all of these so you can look at them in detail, not this quick when we throw it up like that. There are links to all of these in there. But I'm thinking maybe I'm going to start for the rest of the year doing my weekly check-in with you using this. So if I'm working from this on a day-to-day for work, then at the end of the week when we do accountability, I should know all the stuff that I was supposed to do and be able to put it in here. Theory. Now that I have all my goals written down. Okay, what next?
So I actually use the Laurel Denise for my daily everything and our check-in. So that's what I do. I use my Laurel Denise. And then what I did with all of these papers, because even though I really do have it all written down now in a goal planner, what if I need to look at it? So I have it paper clipped and it goes in one of the huge pockets in my Laurel Denise. So I keep it. So what I've done in the past is I've had a Kanban board in my office where I've broken down the goals. Living in the RV, I had no space for an actual board. So what I did was folders. And I had TWC, the right crowd. And then all the stickies that you use for that are on one side, doing and done. But that's how it started. But what it ended up being was to do, and then I would take the little sticky of doing and put it in my planner. And then it was done, it got moved to the done side. But now that I'm in a house, this space, right, it's hard to do it backwards.
Yes,
this space right here is going to be my Kanban board for this year. We're still working on the house. So that's not there yet, but that's where it's going to be. The other thing I realized, which I haven't told you, Audrey, the other thing I realized is I feel like I'm starting all of my goals and everything in February. And like, I feel like I spent January planning everything out. And I was frustrated with myself this year because why would I do that? The year started in January and I figured out why. So it's hard for me to make plans for the next year when I don't know exactly how I ended up the year before. So I couldn't start planning 2024 until 2023 was over and I knew where I stood. I had an idea, but I couldn't really like get it all out on paper. So I ended up spending all of January figuring out what my real plans were going to be for 2024. So I don't really feel like I accomplished much on my list of things that I wanted to accomplish in January. However, I feel like I spent the month planning out the rest of the year. because 2023 was finally over. I know this sounds weird, and I've never had that problem before, but this year I was like, why am I like, I literally did this a week and a half ago, which is 2.5 weeks into January.
It's
But I was like,
okay, Amy. It's okay.
I think I've grown. And I'm okay with my quirks now. I mean, I've always been okay, but now I'm ready to admit them. So that's
growth. That is tremendous growth.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
For me, the year ends basically the end of November. That's just like almost a work thing. It's, you consider the last 6 weeks of the year are cake. If you get work done, anybody who works with me, just forget I said that. You're not listening, blah, 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 blah. Get your work done in the weeks, every week up until the last day of the year. But really it's cake, because you've got people on vacation, you've got PTO, you've got people coming in, you've got Christmas cookie coma or Hanukkah howdy doos and all the stuff going on, and travel and stress. And so I did all the calculations, and when I did my calculations for work to be completed in the year, I think it was about 20, there were 20 days, maybe 21 days from the 1st of November to the end of December. That's all that I could count on, because sometimes when you're doing things, it's not just you who's doing them. You have external forces that you have to, but like for me, once my book is done, I have to get it to an editor, and that editor has a schedule that I can't control. So whatever time, if I booked it early enough in advance, then maybe it would be okay. But even then, stuff happens, and you have to give.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing just dandy, just dandy. And for me, for the beginning of the year, yeah, like I start buying planners in October because it's just fun. I just want to see.
Well, I do that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I mean, and really October, for me, I feel like it's more like September, August.
It's early. But yeah. And then I'm so anxious to start working in the new planner. Just so anxious. Sometimes I want to start early. But so I did get a few things done this year in January, but not nearly the momentum I could have had if I had completely planned everything out and had everything ready for the following year by day 1 of the new year. So if I'd done it at the end of December or something like that. But still, progress was made. Has been made.
And I think I kind of, like, I made some, yes, we're going to talk about goals here in a second. I made some big goals for myself for this year. And I almost started already beating myself up because I'm behind. But then I was like, but I haven't really started. Like, I'm just now getting my feet planted to be able to really move forward. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm not going to plan the whole year. I know what I want to accomplish for the year, and I'm going to work by quarter.
Yeah.
You get to the end of the quarter, what did I do? What still needs to get done, and move on.
Just like what we talked about in another episode, 12-week year for writers. This is basically 12 weeks is a quarter. And I still use the spreadsheet from this one. We read this and went over it in another episode. We'll go back to that one for those of you who have not watched it yet.
And I actually was thinking about that when I was setting this up. I have it on my shelf right there. A lot of my stuff is still in boxes, as you can see behind me, because I don't have bookshelves. Did it just fall off the counter? So a lot of my stuff is still in boxes, but that is one of the books that I pulled out. No.
I've got an avalanche happening. There's gum falling out. There we go. I've got to restructure this area. That's all my books and everything that I need for either work. Okay, go on.
Okay. So as I was saying, most of my stuff is still in boxes because we don't have bookshelves yet. So there's only a couple of books that I pulled out that I need front and center to remind me to either do them, or they're ones that I wanted to read like now. And 12-week year is over there because I want to go back through it to really work out. Because I figure I got 2 years left before I want to be doing this gig full time, where I want it to be new books, residual income, everything coming in. And that includes my voiceover work, because one of the goals that I have for this year, my studio has finally got a door so I can set it up. And I've always wanted to be a voice in a feature film, animated feature film. I've always wanted to do that. I have the space now. However, I have an internal conflict on whether I want that to be the goal or the writing to be the goal. And the writing takes up more of my space in my head. I'm always coming up with stories. So one of my goals this year is to build up my ACX samples, put myself out there, try to get some stuff done, and at the end of the year, make a decision. Am I going to continue to dabble in this? Because that is a full-time job if I do it, but writing is also going to be a full-time job. So one of my goals will be by the end of the year is to figure out, do I keep doing it, or do I keep it for, like, I've got a studio. We built it to be a recording studio. Do I keep it for video production and like the YouTube channel, this one and the personal one that I'm making this year? Like, do I keep it for that? Or do I just sell everything and turn it back into a closet, put bookshelves in there, and maybe make it a quiet reading room? I don't know. We'll see at the end of the year. But my goal, one of my goals is I have no problem with birthdays and age. So I will be 48 this year. Hello, 50 and 2. And by the time I'm 50, I want to be writing full time with no other outside job unless I choose to continue doing voiceover work, which means I have to get my butt in gear, and I have to get some stuff out there for people to buy in order for me to start making money. So that's what it comes down to.
Very good.
Yeah. So yes, I need to bring out 12-week year for writers to get my focus. Okay. So do you have anything you want to add before we go over what our goals actually are?
I do not.
Would you like to go first, since I've been talking this whole time?
Okay.
I saw your little eye roll.
I don't. Okay, so these are, and this is a great, we're going to do some triage on my goals, and that'll be good for you guys too. So pull out, if you're working at home, you should now be thinking about your writing goals and for this next year, and we'll go over triage and maybe you'll find it helpful. Okay, so I have, I'm only going to talk about the ones for writing goals because I have life goals, all the goals for life. But I have become a 6-figure award-winning published author. And I have launched my author brand. And I have sell a screenplay. And I have that in increments, like 4 figures, 5 figures, and then 6 figures. I want to sell screenplay. I would like to have a movie on TV like Hallmark. And
Hashtag Hallmark.
yeah. So, and then I have write a successful series. Oh, it's a YA series. So I have and it's not fantasy. It's a contemporary YA series that I've had planned for the last couple years, but it's been on deprioritized so that my cozy mystery series could go first. That was the most important one. And then I have to increase followers and subscribers on the Right Crowd, our YouTube channel. So those are my specific writing related goals. And you might have, if you were listening very closely and you know anything about goals, SMART goals, you know that a couple of those, maybe all of those, need some work for 2020 for this year. Go on, Amy. What are your goals?
So my writer goals, and I'm reading them off of here because I don't want to flip through my book So it's possible that my book says something a little different. But my writer goals here are that I actually want to organize a writer's retreat here in St. Augustine. I want to, the beginning of the end of last year, my goal was 4 publications by the end of the year. And I know that seems like a lot. However, 3 of those are very close to being done because I'm really good at doing multiple projects at a time. But part of that publication process is taking it through all of the steps, including Kickstarter. So that's, so get 4 published, organize a writer's retreat, get this channel monetized, which means we have to get subscribers and, oh, which reminds me, like and subscribe, please. We have to get subscribers and views up and all that good stuff. I also need to get my own writer website and newsletter going. And then as part of that, because I feel like it does work in conjunction with, I need to get my studio up and going so that I can not only read my own books, but that I can start reading other people's books, even if I never do a film, even though that would be fabulous. Hashtag Pixar. Even though that would be fabulous, I really need to at least have it ready for my own stuff, whether or not I ever read Audrea's book. I'm not the voice Audrey is looking for in her book, so I can say this. I don't think I'll ever read Audrea's book on Audible, but that doesn't mean Mark Cameron doesn't need a strong female voice for one of his characters.
Right.
So they can't hear it if I don't put it out there. And I figure putting it out there in my own voice would be a great way. So even if I decide not to do that full time for other people, it will still be available for me to do for myself. I think those are my big writer goals for myself.
Okay.
I do have a couple of other goals. Obviously, we both do.
Yes.
And nothing to do with the writing. But I think those are my main big goals for this year. Not lifetime, for this year.
All right. So let's take one of my goals and do some triage to make it into a SMART goal. So
Cool.
for example, if you at home, other writers among us, have a goal and you want to make sure that it is something that is a reasonable goal, a SMART goal, something that you can accomplish in a year, there are a couple of ways to do that and a couple of different philosophies. The one that we've talked about before and many people know about are SMART goals. What you do is you take your goal, we use this in corporate environment as well. You may want to make sure that it is
this is always the part where you have to stop and go, okay, wait, what is it? That's like when you sing the song Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do, you have to like go back and say, wait, what comes after this? It's the same way.
Okay.
So what's S?
So SMART it's smart. Is it smart? S is smart.
It is smart.
Smart.
So it is specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and timely. Now, those are the ones that I've always used. I've heard either the A or the R. I've heard other people use other words, but those are the ones that I attain. Those are the ones that I use.
Yes, those are the ones I've used as well.
Okay.
In the corporate.
Okay.
Okay.
So which one do you want to break down?
We're going to break down number 2, become a 6-figure award-winning published author. And
I feel like that's specific.
you think so? Okay. Because I
think you've got the S.
Okay. I think that's got the S. All right. So the next one, measurable. 6 figures is measurable.
6 figures is measurable. Yep.
0 to 6 figures. Published is measurable. That's basically an on-off switch. Either you're published or not. Right now, I am not published. I am towing the line, or my foot is on the other side of the line of being published. Often.
Is it attainable and reasonable for you to do that in a year?
In a year. You know, unless something becomes viral, which you do not plan for.
You can't plan those.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is the silliest things that go viral. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
who knows?
I would say no, it does not meet the criteria, given my past history and the market the way it is today, and my not disdain, my hesitance for doing social media and marketing and really selling my book and doing that kind of thing. I would say that it might be attainable, but it's not reasonable. And if it's not reasonable, I would say it's not attainable within a 12-month or 11-month time span.
So do you want to change the amount, or do you want to change the actual like end goal? Like you want a year. Do you want to move it to 3 years, or do you want to like change what your goal is for this year?
I'm going to move it out to 3 years, which would change my goal for this year
Right.
to something. So if that's what I want in 3 years' time, then let's move it back to what do I have to do this year to get.
Right.
One thing that I have to do is I have to flip that on-off switch to yes, or yes-no switch to yes, I'm published. So I have to publish. And in order to publish, I have to finish the revisions on book 1 at the very least. And then I have to hand that off to an editor. And I have to then, after the edits are complete, get it proofread. And then I'm going to do the formatting myself. And then I would need to, then I can upload it, publish it. And my plan is to publish Kindle first and then go wide. So that's just the way I've decided, because I don't have, no one knows who I am. I don't have any,
Right.
any credibility in the marketplace right now. It seemed like Kindle Unlimited, from some of the classes I've taken, has been a way to get some reviews and things of that nature.
So based on that, what is the new wording for this year of that goal?
I'm going to publish 3 books. And I say 3 because they're already written. 3 books by the end of the year. And that's a lot because they're mostly written. That should be good. That should be reasonable. That's reasonable. It's attainable. So
It's measurable, because you gave us the 3 books is the measurable part. And you said by the end of the year, which is the timely part. It's specific, because now the only way you could be more specific is if you said, I'm going to publish this specific book, this specific book, this specific book. And I know for me, I would probably have to do that, because like we said in our romance, we will say we haven't published this video yet. We have a video coming up about how to write a sweet romance. And if y'all have been paying attention to us, you know, anytime we read a book about a genre, we have a tendency to want to write the book. So for me, I had to, in my goal, I actually wrote down my rogue book that I'm almost done with, my short story collection, and my cozy series. Those are the 3, because I have on the back burner a middle grade fantasy that I'm working on. I have a YA detective series that I actually wrote the first book for when we did the 3-day novel. And then I now have a romance in my head. And then we've talked about a series together. So I had to write down specifically what books I would have published at the end of the year to stay on track with not squirreling on these other projects that I've started or want to start.
Okay. So I do have the 3, I amended mine a little bit there. So the 3 books by the end of the year are the 3 in my Maxim Murphy mystery series.
Okay.
Cozy mystery series. And then I have a serial that I began in that world. It takes place it actually is the same character, but it's her 10 years earlier, learning the ropes basically of what she's being a young 20-year-old in Chicago. So I have a serial that's based on that, and that I want to make to do what do you call it, subscription based, or not subscription based, serial publishing. So that's what I plan.
Right.
That one. So that one is written up 75% complete because it's a shorter book. It's much shorter, and I plan to publish that one this year. And then I have one more that actually not. It's not true. Two more. I have a YA contemporary.
We have a problem.
Yeah. I have a YA contemporary that I started with another friend, and I told her as soon as Max and Murphy was published that she and I would work together on that book. And when we go on vacation, we write up scenes and outline and all that stuff. So that was one I want to complete the writing of this year. I didn't say published because we might try and get that one traditionally published. Don't know. But that is one I plan to write this year. And then romance. I do have a plan for an idea for a romance series of shorter books, novella series that I want to do this year. That all goes behind my mystery series. So those are the ones that I would say for 2024. Those are the specific books. I know I didn't say titles, but those are the specific books. I even have all the covers for all of the Max and Murphy, even the serial. Those are all done. They're measurable. Are they attainable? Yes, most of them are. There's only one book. There's one book that's only outlined in Max and Murphy, and the other one is 75% complete, and the other one is 50% complete. And the one I'm working on now is complete, 100% written. I'm just revising it and fixing some broken chapters before I send it to the editor. And so those are reasonable. And just writing the other book, I think is reasonable because I do that mostly on vacations and on brunches with my friend. And time-based. So we said by the end of the year for those. And theoretically, Q1 is where a couple of those books are. I plan to get those out still in Q1. So that's much better. That's a much reasonable. I feel like I was kind of feeling like that goal originally was more of a vision for my future self, which is good. But I think if saying that in 3 years, if I continue publishing and writing and improving my craft, that I can get to that 6-figure.
I think you could totally reach the 6 figures and then more, because 6 figures stays 6 figures a long time before it becomes 7 figures.
That's true.
So I think by the end of when you get to the 3, you could be well into the 6 figures.
Yes, I would be happy with 3 figures. 1 figure. Give me 1 figure and let me build on that. 2 figures. 3 figures.
I'm done. I am published. I'm done.
Yeah. So
someone bought it. And then actually, I think once we're published, we should make a goal to get our first 1-star review. Because, there's going to be one. And when we get it, no matter how great everybody says the book is, somebody's going to complain about something. They don't like the name of the dog, right? Yes. They're going to complain.
Someone always
so I think as soon as we get our first 1-star review, we should throw a party.
A 1-star review party. That's a good idea. Now, I don't want you out there watching this to get any idea. You just give us 5 stars. If you do choose to read the books we put out, you can say, howdy, I like your work just by giving us 5-star reviews. Don't be
We loved your videos that you did for the right crowd. So I don't care about the book. I'm just going to give you 5 stars. Sure, go for it. Right. But there's going to be that person. There's always that person.
That would be lovely. And thank you in advance.
Yes.
All right. So that is a little bit about how do you take a goal and you basically go down that SMART criteria, and you guys can go out and Google SMART. We'll put it in the show notes, exactly what SMART is. Run each one of your goals down that SMART criteria. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it reasonable? And is it time-based or time-bound? And if you run up against a goal that's not, and be really honest with yourself, because you don't want to get to the end of the year and go, that goal of making $1 million with my first book that I just put out at the end of the year. Probably that wasn't a good. So make sure you do that for yourself. Now, do you want to talk about any of yours and walk through anything?
I don't know. Let me look and see if I have any. Okay. Well, this is funny. One of my goals for the quarter is to set up studio.
Ooh.
But I did not break down what that actually looks like. So but I don't think that really is. Let me see if there's one that is where's my titles? There they are. Oh, I was in the middle of them. That's why I couldn't find it. Let's see. That's my writing goal, which I think is good. And then, so this one is reasonable. I think it has it, but I just.
Okay. So Amy, do you want to go over your goals to talk about any changes you want to make in your writing goals?
You know what? I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think I was able to get it where it needed to be because I was so all over the board in December. And then I took January to really break it down and see where I'm at, what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm good.
Awesome.
I think I'm good. Yeah. I don't think there's any of my goals that I didn't do that with when because it's ingrained in me. I used to teach a class on it like every month. So it's ingrained in me that when I write them out, that they do meet all of those things. Even when someone tells me what they're trying to do or what they want to do, in my head, I'm going, yeah, but by when? Or how much? Or you really think you could, in my head, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
So it's kind of just second nature for me.
Okay.
To do that with my stuff.
And I do that at work all the time in my day job. But when it comes to my personal stuff, my artsy fartsy brain takes over and gets very woo-woo. It's like, this is my dream. Okay. But I did not mean to interrupt you before. But I thought,
Where did you interrupt?
when I did this, because you were looking through your goals and I thought you were going to come up with one and there had been a big lag. So I was just going to start it over and give you a new prompt. But then you said, oh, no. I was like, what? So that's fine. Do we want to, and I'll cut this last part out. Do we want to do the specific, measurable, and that exercise with the right crowd? I'm sorry. I'll cut that out.
Well, you're cutting this whole part out, so you're fine.
Or do we not put out there and like?
I don't know that because we haven't really even specifically talked about it ourselves.
Yeah, so let's not.
So is that really something we want to brainstorm for everybody?
No, I don't think so. I don't think. I agree.
All right, so you want to go back and wrap this one up?
Okay.
Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Unless there were some other kind of goals. I think that was a pretty good exercise going through one of mine and
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is how you go over your goals and for writing or anything actually in life.
Anything.
And make them
smart.
Thank you. Make them smart. I think that's it for us.
It felt like you said you didn't finish the sentence. I needed to add something there on the end.
I did not. Okay. Okay. So that's about how you make goals for yourself, writing or otherwise, how you make sure that they are SMART goals so that at the end, so that you can track them throughout the year and make sure you get closer to attaining them in your 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, whatever your time frame is. But for us, it was a 1 year exercise. But we'll be back with more episodes. Make sure you like and subscribe. Yes. And we are looking for books to review this year. So we've got a bunch of writing craft books to review. And if you have any ideas, you can send those to us on our YouTube channel. Just go into our YouTube channel and comment below. And pretty soon you'll be getting our newsletter. We'll be getting our newsletter started really soon. But until then, you can just like and subscribe right here.
We also have some ideas of some different kind of videos to start putting out for you guys, and maybe have a couple of live videos coming up where you can see how we brainstorm our goals every year. I mean, every week. And maybe even do a little crocheting and knitting with us. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We got some ideas. So, anything else, Audrey?
That's it. So bye.
Bye.